All right. So we've got a mountain of research here about fast food franchises in Mexico
Yes.
and tacos, tortas, esquites. We're talking serious culinary ground here. And I
Right?
got to say, the thing that really caught my eye is this. For a country where street food is practically its own food group, franchise restaurants,
Yeah.
they only make up a tiny sliver of the pie,
Yeah.
like 5%, tiny. So what's the deal with that? What's going on?
It is a fascinating paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got this incredibly vibrant, informal food scene
Right?
that dominates 95% of the market.
Yeah.
Street stalls, family-run fondas, places that are practically woven into the fabric of daily life.
It's true.
Yet there's this small but growing appetite for franchises, and understanding that dynamic is key to unlocking the potential for success, especially for a Mexican food franchise.
See, that's what's got me hooked. It's like we're
Yeah.
trying to solve some delicious mystery here.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, you've got the familiarity and the soul of, like, those late-night taco stands after a long night out.
Right.
The kind of places that practically define Mexican food culture. But then you see these global giants, your McDonald's and Burger Kings kind of like muscling their way in,
Yeah.
which makes me wonder, what's the draw for Mexican consumers? What are they looking for in a franchise experience that they're not finding in those more traditional settings?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And it's not just about the food itself. We have to remember that franchises, especially those international powerhouses, they're selling a certain kind of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Speed, consistency, a sense of familiarity, no matter where you are in the world.
Right.
Think about it, those golden arches, they're practically a universal symbol of, well, maybe not gourmet dining, but, predictable, affordable food.
Okay, so it's like they're tapping into a different need,
Right.
a desire for something that those traditional food stalls maybe just can't offer. But can you really replicate the magic of, like, a street taco in a standardized franchise setting?
Yeah.
I mean, part of the charm is that each one is a little different, a little unique, right?
That's the challenge, isn't it? And that's why we see those local contenders, your El Polo Pepe and Tortas Locas Ibercampo, they're trying to bridge that gap, right?
Like
They've got the advantage of familiarity, of appealing to that sense of national pride. But as your research points out, they often struggle to maintain consistency and create a brand identity that extends beyond their immediate region.
It's almost like they're caught between two worlds, trying to balance the authenticity of traditional Mexican food with the demands of a franchise model.
Yeah.
So how do you crack that code? What can we learn from those global giants who've, let's face it, kind of written the book on franchising? I
Right.
mean, you sent over some fascinating insights into McDonald's, Burger King, even Domino's, and Pizza Hut.
They are masters of efficiency, branding, and supply chain management, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Take McDonald's and their speedy service system. It revolutionized the industry by bringing assembly line production to burgers.
Which, I mean, when you think about it, it's kind of genius.
Right.
Suddenly, it's not just about making a burger, it's about making the same burger
Yes.
with the same taste every single time.
Every time.
Change people's expectations.
Exactly. Consistency and affordability became part of that fast food experience. And that resonated with consumers, regardless of their cultural background. But it wasn't just about the food itself. These giants, they also mastered the art of branding.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
The power of the mascot. You
Yeah.
can't mention branding without mentioning Ronald McDonald, right?
Right.
It's like the Mickey Mouse of fast food,
Yeah.
instantly recognizable no matter where you are in the world.
And it's not just the mascot. Think about those catchy jingles.
Oh, yeah.
Those targeted campaigns, the have it your way mantra of Burger King, they're all about creating a memorable, consistent brand experience.
It's crazy how these brands, they just like worm their way into our collective consciousness,
It's
right? But, branding aside, none of it really works if the food isn't good, right? And that's where things get really interesting with this whole Mexican food franchise idea. You've got to nail those authentic flavors,
Yeah.
but you still got to deliver that consistent and efficient experience. I mean, you can't exactly replicate like an abuela's tender carnitas with some, one-size-fits-all recipe, can you?
You hit the nail on the head. That's where those global players really shine. Their supply chain management is mind-boggling. Every ingredient, every process is fine-tuned to deliver that same product, whether you're in Mexico City or Madrid.
So how do you translate that kind of precision to something as nuanced as Mexican cuisine?
Yeah.
Even within Mexico, you have so much regional variation in cooking styles and ingredients.
Oh, absolutely.
It's got to be a logistical nightmare.
It is a challenge for sure, but we're not talking about erasing those regional differences, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about understanding what consumers are actually looking for in a franchise experience.
Right.
And that's where your research into these consumer preferences, it's so insightful. They crave the authenticity, those traditional flavors that evoke a sense of home,
Yeah.
but they're also looking for things like speed, convenience, and brand identity, right? Things that those international chains have sort of like perfected.
So it's about finding that sweet spot where
Yeah.
tradition meets modernity, right?
Right.
Holding on to those authentic flavors
Yeah.
while streamlining the experience. Which, speaking of modernity, brings us to another interesting tidbit from your research. Consumers, especially younger generations, they're really keyed into a brand's values these days.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about the food anymore. They want to know that their burrito is ethically sourced,
Yeah.
that it's contributing to the greater good.
Absolutely. Social responsibility is becoming increasingly important. Consumers want to feel good about their choices, and that extends to like where they get their food. They're drawn to businesses that support local communities, source sustainably, operate with transparency.
It's like they're saying, I want my tacos, but I want them delicious, and I want them ethically sourced. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Which, honestly, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
But enough analysis for now. Let's roll up our sleeves and get to the fun part.
Okay.
We've got all these consumer insights, all this data about what people are craving. Let's see if we can actually cook up a winning franchise concept here. Ready to fire up the grill.
Let's do it.
All right, first things first. The menu. We need to strike that balance, right? Familiarity and excitement. What are those must-have dishes that just scream authentic Mexican food? I'm thinking tacos al pastor are non-negotiable.
Absolutely. The research confirms that. Tacos al pastor, a clear favorite.
Yeah.
There's something about that combination of marinated pork, pineapple, those perfectly charred tortillas. It's pure magic. And of course, we can't forget the classics, right?
Not.
Carnitas, barbacoa, birria. Those like slow-cooked, melt-in-your-mouth flavors, they're essential.
Oh, man. Now I'm getting hungry.
Right.
But you know what would make this really interesting? Offering a few regional specialties, too. It'd be a chance to, showcase the incredible diversity of Mexican cuisine.
Right.
Give people a taste of something that they might not find anywhere else.
That's a fantastic idea. Imagine a rotating selection of regional specials. So 1 month you're featuring cochinita pibil from Yucatan, right? The next month it's slayudas from Oaxaca. It keeps the menu fresh and exciting while still staying true to that core concept of authenticity.
Okay, we're painting a delicious picture here. We've got the food, but now we need to package it all up, right?
Yeah.
The brand identity that pops. What about a name? The research that you shared had some interesting suggestions.
Las Delicias Mexicanas and Tacos Tambres were the front runners.
Las Delicias Mexicanas. It has a nice ring to it.
It does.
Very traditional, kind of evokes those homemade flavors.
Yeah.
But tacos tumbers, that's clever. It's like a play on words, right? Combining tacos with costumbers, which means customs or traditions. It's catchy, it's memorable, and it kind of hints at that, like deeper connection to Mexican culture.
I like where your head's at.
Right.
And for the logo, maybe something that blends modern design with traditional Mexican motifs. Think like bold colors, playful takes on molcajetes or metates, those traditional tools used in Mexican cooking.
Sure.
It's a way to kind of visually represent that fusion of tradition and modernity.
Okay, I'm digging the visuals, but what about the story? What's the narrative behind this this hypothetical franchise?
That's where we tap into the heart of it all. It could be a story about family recipes, right? Passed down through generations, a tale of a passionate chef on a mission to share their authentic Mexican flavors with the world, or even a celebration of that vibrant street food culture that kind of inspired it all.
It's all about crafting an experience, not just serving up a plate of food. But let's get real for a second. A killer brand story and a mouth-watering menu are only part of the equation, right?
Right.
How do we actually bring this hypothetical franchise to life? And how do we scale it up without losing that artisanal touch, that commitment to authentic Mexican flavors? That's what's got me curious.
That's the million-dollar question for any franchise, isn't it? Scaling while maintaining quality. And you're right, it's especially crucial in this case because authenticity is the cornerstone of our hypothetical brand.
Right. It'd be a shame to go through all this effort to create this amazing concept only to have it lose its soul as it grows.
Exactly. But there are ways to safeguard that authenticity. One thing those global players have taught us is the importance of operational excellence. We need to be just as smart and strategic about sourcing ingredients, streamlining the cooking process, and training staff.
So are we talking about creating some kind of top secret taco academy?
Not quite a taco academy, but centralized training is definitely key. We need to make sure every employee understands not just the how-to of making the food, but also the why behind it. Why are we using these specific chiles? What's the history behind this particular cooking technique? That kind of knowledge is contagious and translates into a more authentic experience for the customer.
I love that. It's like you're not just training employees, you're building a team of passionate brand ambassadors.
Exactly. And technology can be a huge asset here. Imagine a digital platform where employees can access training videos, standardized recipes, even connect with suppliers to learn more about the ingredients they're working with.
Okay, now that's smart. You're using technology not to replace the human element, but to enhance it. It's like giving your team the tools and knowledge they need to really shine.
Precisely. But it's not just about internal operations, right? We also need to consider the competitive landscape. You've got those international heavyweights, the local contenders, not to mention the countless street food vendors who are the lifeblood of Mexican cuisine. How does our hypothetical franchise stand out from the crowd?
Well, we already know that consumers are hungry for authenticity, social responsibility, and a genuine connection to Mexican culture. That's our sweet spot.
Exactly. We need to double down on those differentiators. Highlight the fact that we're sourcing from local farmers, using traditional cooking methods, and giving back to the communities we serve.
And maybe we even take it a step further. What if we offer limited-time regional specialties, partner with local artists to design our packaging, or even host interactive culinary experiences in our restaurants?
Now you're talking. It's about creating a multi-sensory experience that goes beyond just grabbing a quick bite. It's about immersing people in the heart and soul of Mexican cuisine.
Okay, I'm convinced. We've got a solid menu, a compelling brand, a plan for operational excellence, and a strategy for standing out in a crowded market. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, there are always challenges when you're building something new, especially in a market as dynamic as Mexico's. But you've done your research, you've identified the key consumer insights, and you're asking all the right questions. And I think that's what matters most. You've uncovered valuable insights about what consumers crave. But in a country with such a strong culinary tradition, how can a franchise balance authenticity with the need for standardization and growth? That's something for you to consider as you move forward.
That's a great question to ponder. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Mexican food franchises. It's been a delicious journey, and we can't wait to see what you cook up.